From CBS3 Duluth, this is the CBS3 News at 6.
A historic and startling day for the nation as protesters stormed the Capitol in Washington, D.C., while Congress was certifying the electoral votes for the 2020 election. This was the scene outside earlier this afternoon, shortly after the demonstrations began.
Inside, Capitol security barricaded the doors to the House chambers with guns drawn as protesters tried to get inside. Members of the House and Senate were forced to evacuate.
Good evening, I'm Kristen Bakke.
I'm Anthony Matt. Thanks for joining us tonight. With Congress in session to count the Electoral College vote confirming the 2020 election for Joe Biden, hundreds of protesters stormed the U.S. Capitol.
What's normally a ceremonial proceeding is now filled with tension inside and turmoil outside as Trump loyalists in the House, the Senate, and on the streets object to the results of the 2020 presidential election. This was the scene earlier this afternoon as protesters broke through barriers and breached the halls of Congress. One protester was shot and killed. Lawmakers were put into lockdown after demonstrators overwhelmed Capitol Police and worked their way into the building. Security escorted Vice President Mike Pence from the building just about an hour after he had opened the joint session of Congress to count the Electoral College vote.
President-elect Joe Biden made a televised address during the unrest, calling the violent protests on the U.S. Capitol, quote, an assault on the most sacred of American undertakings.
But today's reminder, a painful one, that democracy is fragile, and to preserve it requires people of goodwill, leaders with the courage to stand up.
Biden demanded President Donald Trump make a televised address, which he did in a taped recording moments after Biden's address. Here's a portion of what the president had to say.
I know your pain. I know you're hurt. We had an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it, especially the other side. But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order.
Meanwhile, Vice President Mike Pence is defying the president, saying he does not have the unilateral ability to discard electoral votes that will make Joe Biden the president on January 20th.
Shortly after protesters stormed the Capitol, Congressman Pete Stauber spoke on FaceTime about what he was experiencing. The 8th District Republican was sheltering in a congressional office. He said he felt safe but could hear flashbang devices going off both inside and outside of the Capitol. Stauber asked for prayers and for his constituents to pray for our country. He also condemned the violence, saying, quote, we as a nation are better than this.
What we're seeing right now is unacceptable. This isn't the America that we want or deserve. We can do better. Violence is never the answer, and we need to make sure that our Capitol Police and all that are trying to keep us safe, Godspeed to them.
Stauber said he's been in touch with his family to let them know he is okay. When asked about the rhetoric leading up to today and how that may have contributed, the congressman said when it comes to that, as well as changes to Capitol security, there will be a lot to dissect in the days ahead. Shortly before the unrest, Stauber released a statement on efforts to certify the Electoral College votes. He said he fiercely supported Trump during his re-election bid, and he has, quote, serious concerns about the election integrity. Stauber went on to say the Constitution says Congress's role is to count the electors submitted by the states, not to decide which electors the states should have sent. Stauber said overturning the results of the Electoral College would be an overstep of Congress's limited role and would revoke the power of the people and the states.
As the scene at the nation's capital grew out of control, things were more calm in St. Paul. Hundreds of supporters of President Trump gathered at the Minnesota State Capitol to protest against the certification of Joe Biden as the winner of the presidential election. The Star Tribune reports today's demonstration was heavy on speeches and chants. Minnesota State troopers are guarding the area as large groups stood in opposition to the outcome of the election. One of those supporters included a resident of the Iron Range.
Good Lord, again, allowed me to be part of this election, again, to change things, again, to do something for the people. Because of your kids, your grandkids, they won't have a life. I am 77 years old. And again, I believe the Lord told me to step up to the plate, and I did. But again, He's the one that's in control. But again, I just can't lay down and play dead either.
And after announcing a loosening of COVID-19 restrictions for Minnesota this afternoon, Governor Tim Walz issued his own statement regarding what happened at the nation's capital.
When our politics gets to the point where everything becomes so fractured, it's very difficult, and it's very difficult to run society that way. And so I want to acknowledge that eyes are on what's happening in D.C.
Meanwhile, local political expert Dr. Cindy Rugeley weighed in on the scene in D.C. The UMD professor says she is confident that this will not change the outcome of the election or the process of certifying states' electoral votes.
They will continue on it. I mean, now it's started. It will be completed. They have 2 weeks to do it, and so it will be completed. It's a disgraceful scene. There's no question about that. What is happening outside the Capitol right now is just a disgrace.
Congress will resume counting the electoral votes this evening.
We're going to continue coverage of the protests later on in the show, but first we've got to check in on the weather with Dave. Dave, a pretty good start to the day for a lot of us. Not too cold, not too hot.
Yeah, there were a few pockets of chilly temperatures that came in just before the clouds thickened up. So we look at the hit or miss temperatures here on our map with some warmer than normal and some cooler than normal. Cooler than normal, Silver Bay 0, Siren 6, Hayward 9. But warmer than normal, Waters Meet or 21 degrees, 16 in Big Fork. That's fairly mild as well. And again, mild temperatures are going to be the trend for the next week as cloud cover now stays a bit on the thicker side here in our area. There's a high pressure cell to our southeast, slowing the progression of those two lows from the west and forcing them down towards the south. So I don't think we're going to get any precip out of those lows, but the clouds are going to stick around for several days and help keep the temperatures up. Our day planner for Thursday then says it should be mostly cloudy most of the day, with a morning start around 18 above and a daytime finish at 26. The normal is 19. Again, we'll talk about how long that's sticking around and if any snow chances we'll try to weasel in coming up in just a couple more minutes.
Thanks, Dave. As COVID cases drop in the state, Minnesota's governor announced he's loosening restrictions on local businesses. Governor Tim Walz says the new rules go into effect on Monday. Bars and restaurants will be allowed to serve customers indoors with limits. Gyms and fitness centers can also reopen at 25% capacity. Indoor entertainment venues like movie theaters, bowling alleys, and museums can also open at 25% capacity. Walz says it's on everyone to help struggling businesses by doing their part to slow the spread.
That keeps your local bar and restaurant open. It keeps your school open. It keeps your hospital capacity under. And we know that the data supports it strongly. Those simple measures of masking, social distancing, washing hands, and staying home if you're sick make the biggest impact.
Walz is also encouraging everyone who can to continue working from home. He says testing is widely available for anyone who needs it.
And tonight we're hearing from some of our local restaurants after the governor's announcement. CBS3's John Cardinelli spoke with a Duluth chef about these loosened restrictions. John, what do you have to say?
Tony, they're very much looking forward to opening back up here at Pickwick on Monday. They even put up a sign here. It says, "We will reopen when the governor says we can," which as of now is January 11th. And that's for indoor dining at 50%, as you just mentioned. I spoke with a chef here earlier today, and he says he's glad just to get back to work. For the last month and a half, Pickwick has been completely shut down. They opted to not offer curbside dining, and as a result, employees had to be laid off. Dustin Tomasetti, the executive chef at Pickwick, says he believes the restaurant has lost more than 6 figures during this last shutdown. He says he's glad to get back into the restaurant, see customers' faces, and be able to work with his cooking staff once again.
I'm eager to get staff back. Those are the people that we've really been thinking about this whole time. So lucky enough that we're doing okay and we're ready to get back into it, but a really good day today.
Tomasetti added he hopes people continue to wear masks and social distance so numbers don't go back up and shutdowns don't occur again. And Tomasetti also added that he's hopeful for the future, but should a shutdown occur again, he knows that the restaurant here will be able to get through it. And coming up later tonight at 10, we'll hear from another restaurant's reactions to the new restrictions.
John Cardinelli live for us tonight. Got to be a lot of relieved business owners out there tonight. Thanks, John.
There's now a new process for storing and processing sexual assault kits in Minnesota that went into effect at the start of the year after the Minnesota Coalition Against Sexual Assault helped pass a bill. CBS3's Emma Quinn spoke with local sexual assault prevention organizations to learn more about the changes and what this means for survivors.
A new public safety law is changing how law enforcement will handle and store sexual assault kits throughout Minnesota. Sexual assault cases are separated into two categories, depending if a survivor chooses to file a report or not. Previously, guidelines and procedures weren't the same for either category, especially those who didn't file a report right away.
Throughout the state of Minnesota, there was kind of a patchwork of different systems for how restricted kits were handled.
This new law establishes procedures for all kits, regardless of which category or where in the state it occurred. Local sexual assault organizations like PAVSA say this law is a long time coming.
That whether you live in Duluth or southern St. Louis County versus a survivor who lives in another part of the state, that they'll have the same kind of options and that their evidence will be handled in the same kind of accountable way.
The Duluth Police Department said under the new law, they'll continue to work with stakeholders to bring justice to victims and survivors of sexual assault. The Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension is also creating a tracking website where victims can see where their kit is.
When someone goes in for a sexual assault exam, it could be up to 6-7 hours of their life that they spend having that evidence collected. And so they have a right to know kind of where it is at any given time and have control over their next steps.
The Minnesota BCA, law enforcement, and hospitals are all working together on how to best implement the procedural changes.
District 3B House Representative Mary Murphy, representing Hermantown, sponsored the bill. We did reach out to Murphy for comment, but did not hear back by news time.
Still to come on Live Local CBS 3, we will have more local reaction to the situation in Washington coming up next.
Normal high is 19. Today we topped out at 30. The warmer than normal trend continued today and likely will for the next week. Any snow coming our way? Well, the chances won't look very good, frankly. We'll show them to you coming up after our break.
Live, local, CBS 3 News at 6 with Kristen Bucky, Anthony Matt, Kelly Hinson, and weather with meteorologist Dave Anderson on Live, local, CBS 3.
The Kelly Clarkson Show!
It's the season for streaming and the perfect time to power up all your devices with Extreme Internet. Call today and save with prices as low as $19.99 a month for 1 year. Go dashing through your shows with amazing speeds from 60 meg up to 1 gig. Powerful in-home Wi-Fi and 99.99% network reliability. Enjoy the gift of high-speed entertainment for as low as $19.99 a month for 1 year. Dial 844-EXTREME2.
The Cetus Fogger Disinfectant Machine sanitizes and restricts the growth of bacteria and viruses. Our disinfectant machines are needed wherever infection can be spread, such as hospitals, public spaces, schools, and nursing homes. The R model is stationary, ideal for the home, office, and classroom, while the C model is movable and ideal for commercial and industrial settings. Our disinfectant machine also controls mold, pests, and odors, ideal for the food and agriculture industries. Visit www.cetusonline.com. That is CETUSonline.com.
At Miners National Bank of Eveleth, we know it takes knowledge, dedication, and teamwork to be the home loan experts. With over 115 years and 4 family generations, we have proven we have the experience to be the best in the business. For your first or next home loan, call the experts you can trust at Miners National Bank. Their teamwork is unmatched, and they will bump out any rough spots along the way. Make your house a home with Miners National Bank.
Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
We're working hard to provide you with an improved DTA experience. With the Transit app, see your route in real time, get notifications, plan your trip, and more in one convenient place. And that's just one way we're building a better DTA.
Why wait for that tax refund or stimulus check to buy new furniture, appliances, or TV when you can buy those things today at EasyOwn with a low down payment and affordable monthly payment? If you're expecting a tax refund or stimulus check, then this is the perfect time to take advantage of EasyOwn's no interest or super low interest programs. So if you want to buy new furniture, appliances, TV, computer, or game system, come into EasyOwn today. Get the things you want with payments you can afford at EasyOwn.
They're live, they're local. Watch the CBS 3 News with Kristen Bucky and Anthony Matt tonight at 6, right after the CBS Evening News at 5:30.
For coverage that matters most to you, tune to CBS 3.
3, 2, 1.
1, open for business. You're doing it! I'm doing it!
I know Gina from high school, and she's donating a kidney.
I'm a giver.
Big smiles. Not the pageant one, Jill, the real one.
I'm more jazzed than I thought I'd be, and that was pretty jazzed.
The comedy starts at 8/7 Central, Thursdays on CBS.
For coverage that matters most to you, tune to CBS3.
Welcome to the Kelly Clarkson Show!
Now, the CBS3 Duluth WeatherMax forecast with meteorologist Dave Anderson.
Well, we had a dense fog advisory this morning, and from this picture from Alan Netland, you can see that it held on to the sky, but the sunrise still punched through down low and made things beautiful. So, as I always say, even with a gray sky, you can make for beautiful conditions here in our region. Bit of a netherworld, as I was saying yesterday. The air pressure's not so high that will clear the sky, but it's not so low that we're going to get snow out of these clouds, and we'll be in this splitting of the difference pretty much for the next week ahead. We'll be warmer than normal, fairly cloudy, and no snow chance. Even that one on Saturday, yeah, it's faded away down to a 10% shot today, so I don't think it's going to happen. So instead, we'll show you what is going to happen after we take a quick look at the high temperatures that came around today, topping at around 30 for many towns, and a little bit cooler for some places, a little warmer for others. Showing the warming trend for the next week is indeed going to be sticking around. What's coming around right now up in Virginia? Well, things look pretty calm there. Roads are a little bit wet because it's been close enough to the freezing point where a little bit of that snow's been melting. And again, that's a trend that could be with us for the next 7 days. The here and now up at the airport in Duluth says it's 28 degrees, warmer than normal, 88% for the relative humidity with an easterly wind at 8 miles per hour. 30.43 inches of mercury at the surface, 1,030 millibars. A high pressure cell that is off to the east is doing a good job at keeping lows from bringing us precip, but frankly, it's not doing anything to keep the clouds away. That's the splitting of the difference that I'm talking about here. Current temps around the region are in the mid to upper 20s in the upper peninsula, mid to upper 20s for northwestern Wisconsin, and some places like Evelyn getting down into the upper teens at this moment, but much of the rest of Minnesota is in the 20s. Overnight low temps tonight likely will fall into the teens for a lot of places, with 20 possible right by the lake. A couple of degrees warmer than normal for just about every town. Doppler map right now shows clouds are filtering into the region, but precip is staying well to the west of our area, again because of this high pressure cell that's blocking the progression of this pair of lows coming in out of the west. And conditions like this then will be with us for Thursday and Friday. We'll be dry, but will be cloudy again thanks to the lows trying to override this high pressure system. Once we get into the weekend, especially on Sunday, higher pressure comes in to keep things mild, keep things dry, and maybe chase the clouds away a bit on Sunday, though Saturday looks to still be pretty cloudy. And clouds and warm temperatures, like I mentioned, the gist of the next 7 days, which we'll start to show you now. The forecast for tonight in Minnesota, where low temps could go from 13 up around International Falls to 20 by Grand Marais or Park Point. Southeast wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Wisconsin and Michigan, mostly cloudy there as well. Low temps 15 to 17, maybe 20 for places like Herbster. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy in the sky once again. Wisconsin, Michigan, high temps warmer than normal by about 10 degrees towards 30. Minnesota numbers will be in the mid to upper 20s with a mostly cloudy sky. And then it stays warmer than normal, 20s all the way through next Wednesday. Overnight low temps in the teens. Sunday may be the sunniest day of the week, Tony. Otherwise reasonably cloudy, but awfully dry.
Again, like last week, not a ton to talk about, although I'm ice fishing on Saturday, and that looks like a pretty decent day to get out and maybe slam some crappies.
Yeah, and of course, practice your ice safety etiquette.
Of course.
All right, perfect.
Thanks, Dave.
Here's a live look from the nation's capital, where protests have become violent in the last few hours as supporters of President Trump gathered as Congress began counting the Electoral College votes. We have more local reaction to this situation.
Starting with the Wisconsin Republican congressional delegation being split over whether to confirm the Electoral College vote for Joe Biden. Both U.S. Senator Ron Johnson and Congressman Tom Tiffany, who represent Northwest Wisconsin, planned on objecting to the vote today, saying such a move would go down a dangerous path. Meanwhile, Wisconsin Senator Tammy Baldwin tweeted she is safe, but says it's disgraceful our country has to experience this violence because because of what she called the president's lies, conspiracies, and attacks on democracy.
Minnesota's Democratic Party is blaming the state's Republicans for what's happening in D.C. In a statement today, Minnesota DFL Party Chairman Ken Martin said the GOP fueled baseless conspiracy theories around the election results, which he says are at the heart of what's happening in the nation's capital. He said, quote, each of Minnesota's Republican members of Congress has worked to sow distrust in the American electoral process, and each of Minnesota's Republican members of Congress bears responsibility for the violence their actions have helped unleash. Meanwhile, Duluth's mayor also is weighing in. With internet service down in most of the city and cell service not working as well, she said it combined for a confusing, scary, and unsettling afternoon for many. She asked people to take deep breaths and check on loved ones the best you can.
Still ahead in sports, both the Bulldog basketball teams react to their cancellations this past weekend, plus a preview of the UMD men's hockey home opener coming up right after the break.
Northwest Outlet is your ARE truck topper headquarters.
CBS3 live cams are brought to you by Kohler Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac. You're not just getting a car, you're getting Kohler.
Arrowhead Supply is your local professional source for kitchen, bath, and countertops since 1973. Whether you're planning to remodel or build new, Arrowhead Supply has a wide range of styles and finishes to choose from. We custom fabricate laminate, quartz, granite, or Corian countertops on site and provide top installation. View all of the new colors, materials, and wood available and receive help from our knowledgeable staff at our Lincoln Park showroom. Arrowhead Supply. Visit us today. Free in-home estimates available.
Whatever your water worry, Culligan Water can help. With over 40 filtration systems, including the world's best softener, no one filters more than Culligan Water. The only water that comes with a van. Contact Culligan, the local water experts.
Mom, I'm here. Mom, where are you? Mom?
Without emergency protection, you risk your life. But with Life Alert, one press of a button can get you help fast.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-458-9565. That's 1-800-458-9565. Call now, 1-800-458-9565. For a free brochure, call 1-800-458-9565.
Welcome to the Kelly Clarkson Show! This show is about connection. Not even 2020 and socially distancing ourselves are going to get in the way of that.
Are we 6 feet apart?
It feels good.
3, 2, 1. Open for business. You're doing it! I'm doing it!
I know Gina from high school, and she's donating a kidney.
I'm a giver.
Big smiles. Not the pageant one, Jill, the real one.
I'm more jazzed than I thought I'd be, and that was pretty jazzed.
The comedy starts at 8/7 Central, Thursdays on CBS.
This year's been just a huge year. We've had everything going on with the pandemic. It's hard to not have your heart go out to those people, the millions that have been impacted by that. That's why we do what we do, to try and keep people in the know. What's going on with this? When is it going to end? When's the vaccine going to be here? How is this impacting you? Where are resources to help you get through the pandemic and keep you and your family safe through all of this?
For coverage that matters most to you, tune to live local CBS3. Severe weather hits. Tune to CBS3 for up-to-date coverage morning and night.
For the first time this season, the UMD men's hockey team will get to play at home, but who they will be playing is already a familiar face this year, as the Bulldogs will face the St. Cloud State Huskies for the second consecutive weekend. The two teams split the series last week, with UMD taking Saturday's contest 4-3 in overtime. Head coach Scott Sandlin recapped the weekend and detailed what areas the team needs to clean up.
they're a puck pressure team. They've got some talented forwards offensively, which like we saw, I think Sunday too, like I said, they possess the puck. So we got to learn how to stop plays and make sure we slow their transition. I thought we did a much better job of that on the first game and Saturday, making sure we were above people. Sunday, I thought we got a little away from that. And
UMD women's basketball head coach Mandy Pearson received the call that no coach wants to hear during the age of COVID on Sunday. Their road game against Winona had been canceled due to positive tests within the opposing program. Due to HIPAA rules, UMD cannot reveal how many players they are down due to positive tests and quarantining, but the ones that are eligible to play are back to practice. It certainly wasn't how the team wanted to start the season.
Administration is doing a great job. They're following the protocols. They're doing their 3 tests a week. I think we just thought we were going to be fine. You're seeing just across the board lots of programs in the NSIC having issues with COVID testing. So it was a surprise because we thought we could play, but I think us and our players are pretty mentally prepared. I mean, since this whole thing has started, every single day is going to be completely different.
The coaches set such a great example of that positivity. It just doesn't really matter who you are on the team. I think it just helps that everyone's energy and, some people aren't in the gym this week, but they're still giving off those positive vibes, which is really huge for our group.
UMD takes on Minot State at home this weekend. The men's team isn't as fortunate to be playing this weekend as their series against Minot State on the road was called off earlier this week. This is due to positive tests within the Winona men's basketball program and the exposure that the UMD players experienced during Saturday's game against the Warriors. Sunday's game was called off. It's definitely a huge blow for a team that was just getting started, but that's the world of sports that we are living in.
We've talked a lot about taking things day by day, but I guess we need to talk about taking things hour by hour. It was definitely stung a little bit not to play, but it is what it is, and we'll continue to move forward.
We were all bummed and upset, but it's kind of something that we gotta be prepared for this season. Unexpected times and doing what we can, and when we can play, we gotta go out there and play and make the best of it.
This weekend's series will not be made up. Now that's going to do it for sports. We'll have plenty more back here at 10, including the Bucks and the Pistons facing off, including also Minnesota and Michigan. Kristen, Tony, back to you.
All right, thanks, Neil. And let's get a quick last look at the weather. Hey, Dave, how are we doing for the rest of the night?
Well, it's going to be calm. Nothing wild either for temperatures or precip, but it'll be a bit gloomy with yet another cloudy sky up above us. Low temps will be in the teens to about 20 by tomorrow morning, followed by a Thursday high near 26 degrees, about 7 or 8 degrees warmer than normal. If we stay that way through Saturday, then we break up a bit as far as the clouds go on Sunday, Tony, with a brief visit of sunshine.
Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you at 10.
Change the